Friendship with God. An uncommon dialogue. Six. That's step 2, isn't it? That's step 2, and it's huge. It is huge, because I don't know if I can trust you. Thank you for your honesty. I'm really sorry. Don't be sorry. Never be sorry for honesty. I'm not sorry for what I said. I'm sorry if it hurt you. You can't hurt me. That's the point. I can't hurt you. No. Even if I do something horrendous. Even if you do something horrendous. You won't become upset and punish me. I will not. That means I can go out and do anything I want. You've always been able to do that. Yes, but I haven't wanted to. Fear of punishment in the hereafter has stopped me. You need fear of God to stop you from being bad. Sometimes, yes. Sometimes, when the temptation's very great. I do need fear of what will happen to me after I die, fear for my immortal soul, as a motivator, to stop me. Really? You mean you've wanted to do such horrible things that you think you'd lose your immortal soul if you did them? Well, I can think of one example of that in my life, yes. What was it? Right here. You want me to tell you right here, in front of God and everybody? Cute. Yes, go ahead. Confession's good for the soul. Well, if you must know, suicide. You've wanted to commit suicide. I once thought about it very seriously. And don't act so surprised. You know all about it. You're the one who stopped me. With love, not fear. There was a bit of fear in there, too. There was. I was afraid of what would happen to me if I took my own life. So we began our dialogue. Yes. And now, 3 conversations with God books later, are you still afraid of me? No. Good. Except when I am. And when is that? When I don't trust you. When I don't trust that this is even you talking to me, much less trust the outlandish promises you make. You still don't trust that God is talking to you? Boy, that'll be interesting to your readers. What, that I'm human? I think they know that I'm human. Yes, but I think that they imagine you to be clear about some things, and at least convinced that you are having a conversation with God. I am convinced. That's better. Except when I'm not. And when is that? When I don't feel that I can trust what you're telling me. And when is that? When it's too good to be true. I see. I go into fear. What if it's not true? What if I'm making it all up? What if I'm creating a God who will say anything I want him to say? What if you're saying just what I want to hear so that I can justify continuing my behavior? I mean, based on what you're telling me, I can do anything I want, with impunity. No worry, no muss, no fuss. No price to pay in the hereafter. Hell's bells, who wouldn't want that kind of a God? You, apparently. But I do accept when I don't. And when is that? When I'm afraid. When I think I can't trust you. What are you afraid will happen to you? You mean, if I believe the things you say, and it turns out that you're not really God? Yes. I'm afraid God will throw me in hell. Why? For having, at worst, a fanciful conversation. For denying the one and only true God, and for leading others to do so. For telling others that there are no consequences to their actions, and thereby causing some people to do things they might not otherwise do, because now they're not afraid of you. You really think you're that powerful? No, I think other people are that easily influenced. Then why haven't they been influenced enough by those who say I'm to be feared to stop their self-destructive behaviors? Religion has been around for centuries, telling people I'll send them to hell if they don't believe in me this way or that way, and if they don't stop certain behaviors. I know. I know that. Well, do you see those behaviors being stopped? No, not really. The human race is killing itself, just as it always has. Faster, actually, than it ever has, because now you have weapons of mass destruction. And we're being no less cruel to each other now than we ever were. That's my observation as well. So what makes you think that if after centuries, millennia, really, of religion not having easily influenced people, that somehow you're going to easily influence them, and also then be personally accountable for their actions? I don't know. I guess I just need to think that once in a while, in order to temper my actions. Why? What are you afraid you would do if you didn't temper your actions? I'd shout from the highest rooftop that I have found, at last, a God I could love. I'd invite everyone else to meet my God, and to know Him as I do. I'd share everything I know about you with everyone whose life I touch. I'd free people of their fear of you. And therefore their fear of each other. I'd free them of their fear of death. And for this you think God is going to punish you? Well, if I have it wrong about you, you will. Or He will. Or it will, whatever. I will not. Oh, Neale, Neale, if your biggest crime is that you've painted a picture of a God too loving, I think you'll be forgiven for that, if you have to continue to believe in a God of reward and punishment. And if other people do bad things, like kill, or rape, or lie, because of me, then every philosopher from the beginning of time who has ever spoken or written against the then current belief system must likewise be guilty of all the deeds of man. Perhaps they are. Is that the kind of God you want to believe in? Is that the God you choose? This isn't a question of choice. We're not in a God supermarket. We don't get to make a choice about this. God is God, and we'd better have our understanding about that right, or we could be going straight to hell. Do you believe that? No. Except when I do. And when is that? When I don't trust you. When I don't trust in the goodness of God, and in the unconditional love of God. When I see us, all of us here on earth, as children of a lesser God. Is that often? Do you feel that way often? No. I have to say, no, not very often. I used to. Man, did I ever used to. But not since our conversations. I've changed my mind about a lot of things. Well, not changed my mind, really. What actually happened is that I allowed myself to believe what I always knew in my heart, and wanted to believe, about God. And has that been so bad for you? Bad? No, it's been good. My whole life has changed. I've been able to believe in your goodness again, and so, I've been able to believe in my goodness again. Because I've been able to believe that you forgive me for all I've done, I've been able to forgive myself because I've stopped believing that someday, somehow, someplace, I'm going to be punished by God. I've stopped punishing myself now. There are those who say that failing to believe in a punishing God is bad, yet I see nothing but good coming from this, because if I'm ever going to do anything worthwhile, even if I'm in prison, just talking another prisoner out of hurting someone, or continuing to hurt himself, I'm going to have to forgive, and stop punishing myself. Excellent. You understand. I do understand. I really do. And I haven't abandoned everything I've been told in our conversations. I just need a tool now. A tool with which I can create a real friendship with you at last. Yes, you are. Even before I've asked, you've answered. As always. As always. So tell me, how can I learn to trust? By not having to. I can learn to trust by not having to trust. That's right. Help me here. If I don't want or need anything from you, do I have to trust you for anything? I suppose not. You are correct. So the highest level of trust is not having to trust. You are correct again. But how can I get to a place of not wanting or needing anything from you? By realizing that it's already yours. That whatever you need is already yours. That even before you ask, I will have answered. Therefore, asking is not necessary. Because I don't have to ask for what I already have. Exactly. But if I already have it, why would I even think I needed it? Because you don't know you already have it. It is a matter of perception. Do you mean that if I perceive that I need something, I do? You will think that you do. But if I think that God will meet all my needs, then I will not think that I do. That is correct. That is why faith is so powerful. If you have faith that all your needs will always be met, then, technically, you have no needs at all. And this is the truth, of course, and it will become your experience, and so your faith will be justified. Yet all you will have done is change your perception. What I expect is what I get. Something like that, yes. Yet the true master lives outside the space of expectation. He expects nothing and desires nothing more than what shows up. Why? Because he already knows he has everything. And so he happily accepts whatever part of everything it is that shows up in any particular moment. He knows that it is all perfect, that life is perfection, playing itself out. Under these circumstances, trust is not required. Or, to put it another way, trust becomes knowing. Yes. There are 3 levels of awareness around everything. These are hope, belief, and knowing. When you have a hope about something, you are wishing that it is true, or that it will happen. You are not certain. In any sense of the word. When you have a belief about something, you are thinking that it is true, or that it will happen. You are not certain, but you think you are certain, and you continue to think so unless something to the contrary appears in your reality. When you have a knowing about something, you are clear that it is true, or that it will happen. You are certain, in every sense of the word, and you continue to be certain even if something to the contrary appears in your reality. You judge not by appearances, because you know what is so. So I can learn to trust you by knowing that I don't have to trust you. That is correct. You have come to a knowingness that the perfect thing is going to occur. Not that a particular thing is going to occur, but that the perfect thing is going to occur. Not that what you prefer is going to occur, but that which is perfect is going to occur. And, as you move toward mastery, these two become one. Something occurs, and you prefer no occurrence other than what is occurring. It is your very preferring of whatever is occurring that renders that occurrence perfect. This is called letting go and letting God. A master always prefers what occurs. You, too, will have reached mastery when you are always preferring what is occurring. But, that is the same as having no preferences at all. I thought that you've always said, your life proceeds out of your intentions for it. If you have no preferences, how can this be true? Have intentions, but don't have expectations, and certainly don't have requirements. Do not become addicted to a particular result. Do not even prefer one. Elevate your addictions to preferences, and your preferences to acceptances. That is the way to peace. That is the way to mastery. A wonderful teacher and writer, Ken Keyes, Jr., talked about just this idea in an exceptional book called A Handbook to Higher Consciousness. Indeed, his formulations in that book were very important. And for many people, groundbreaking. He spoke of changing addictions to preferences. He had to learn how to do that in his own life, because for most of it he was in a wheelchair, immobile from the chest down. Had he been addicted to greater mobility, he could never have found a way to be happy. But he came to realize that it was not outer circumstances that were the source of happiness, but rather our inner decisions about how we choose to experience them. This formed the core of his writing, though most of his books didn't mention his physical challenges. So when he was asked to give lectures, people were often shocked to see him virtually immobile, in his wheelchair. He wrote with such joy of love and life that they imagined him to have everything he ever wanted. He did have everything he ever wanted. But those last 3 words contain an enormous secret. The secret of life is not to have everything you want, but to want everything you have. To borrow from another wonderful writer, John Gray. John is a wonderful writer, that is true, but who do you think is borrowing from whom? I gave him those ideas, just as I inspired Ken Keyes. Who is there with you now? Who is, indeed, and free of his wheelchair, I might add. I'm so glad. It's a shame he had to spend so much of his life in one. It is not a shame. It is a blessing. Ken Keyes changed millions of lives because he was in that wheelchair. Millions of lives. Let's make no mistake about this. Ken's life was a blessing, as was every circumstance in it. It provided the exact and perfect people, places, and events to produce for the soul then calling itself Ken, the experience and the expression for which it yearned, and which it had intended. This is true of everyone's life. There is no such thing as bad luck, nothing happens by accident, there are no coincidences. And God doesn't make mistakes. In other words, everything is perfect, just the way it is. That's right. Even if things don't look perfect. Especially if they don't look perfect. That's a sure sign that there's something huge for you to remember here. So you're saying we should be grateful for the worst things that happen to us? Gratitude is the fastest form of healing. What you resist, persists. What you are grateful for can then serve you, as it was meant to do. I have told you, I have sent you nothing but angels. Now I will add, I have given you nothing but miracles. Wars are miracles. Crimes are miracles. Diseases and illnesses are miracles. What do you think? If you were beginning to give answers rather than ask all the questions, what would you say? You mean, what would I say if I were you? Yes. I say. Every event of life is a miracle, as is life itself. Life is designed to provide your soul with the perfect tools, the perfect circumstances, the perfect conditions with which to realize and experience, announce and declare, fulfill and become who you really are. Therefore, judge not, and neither condemn. Love your enemies, pray for your persecutors, and embrace every moment and circumstance of life as a treasure, a perfect gift from a perfect Creator. I would say, seek results and outcomes, but do not require them. You would have spoken well, my friend. You are becoming a messenger, as Ken Keyes was. Yet now let us take Ken Keyes' teachings one step further, for Ken taught, elevate your addictions to the level of preferences. Now you will teach, do not even have preferences. I will. Yes. When? Now. Go ahead and teach it. What would you say if you were to teach this? You mean, what would I say if I were you? Yes. I would say, if you require a certain result in order to be happy, you have an addiction. If you simply desire a certain result, you have a preference. If you have no preference whatsoever, you have acceptance. You have achieved mastery. Good. That is very good. But I have a question. Isn't setting one's intentions the same as announcing one's preferences? Not at all. You can intend for something to happen without preferring it to. In fact, holding a preference is an announcement to the universe that alternative outcomes are possible. God doesn't imagine such things, so God never has preferences. Do you mean that God actually intended everything that has happened on earth to happen? How else could it have happened? Is it your imagining that anything can happen that is against God's will? When you put it that way, it feels like the answer must be no. Yet when I look at all the awful things that have occurred in the history of the world, I find it hard to believe that God could have intended for those things to occur. My intention is to allow you to choose your own outcomes, to create and experience your own reality. Your history is a record of what you have intended, and what you have intended, I have intended, since there is no separation between us. It does not feel to me as though everything that has happened in human history, or even all that has happened in my own life, is in every case what was intended. It feels as if there have been what I would call unintended results many times along the way. No results are unintended, although many are unanticipated. How can a thing be unanticipated if it is intended? And, conversely, how can a thing that is intended be unanticipated? What you always intend at the soul level is to produce the outcome that is perfectly reflective of your current state of evolution so that you can experience who you are. This is also the outcome that is perfectly suited to facilitate your movement to the next highest state, so that you can become who you seek to be. Remember that the purpose of life is to recreate yourself anew in the next grandest version of the greatest vision ever you held about who you are. I bet I could repeat that in my sleep. Which is interesting. Because when you can repeat that in your sleep, it is a sure sign that you are awake at last. That's clever. That's a neat twist. All of life is, my friend. All of life is. So, what have we learned here? What have you been caused to remember? That what I intend is always what is happening, but what is happening may not always be what I anticipated. But how can this be possible? It occurs when you are not very clear about what you are intending. You mean I think I'm intending one thing, and I'm actually intending another? Exactly. At the physical level you believe you are calling forth a particular result, but at the soul level you are calling forth another. Man, that's crazy making. How can I possibly know what to expect if I'm creating my reality at levels of consciousness that I'm not even in touch with? You can't. That's why it is said, live your life without expectations. That is also why you have been told, in every circumstance and situation, and in the face of any result or outcome, to see the perfection. You did say both of those things in conversations with God, and now, so that you may understand more fully, let us talk briefly about the three levels of experience: superconscious, conscious, and subconscious. The superconscious level is the place of experience at which you know about, and create, your reality with full awareness of what you are doing. This is the soul level. Most of you are not aware at a conscious level of your superconscious intentions, unless you are. The conscious level is the place of experience at which you know about, and create, your reality with some awareness of what you are doing. How much of what you are aware of depends upon your level of consciousness. This is the physical level. When you are committed to the spiritual path, you move through life ever seeking to elevate your consciousness, or to enlarge the experience of your physical reality to include and encompass a larger reality that you know exists. The subconscious level is the place of experience at which you do not know about, or consciously create, your reality. You do so subconsciously, that is, with very little awareness that you are even doing this, much less why. This is not a bad level of experience, so do not judge it. It is a gift, because it allows you to do things automatically, such as grow your hair, or blink your eyes, or beat your heart, or create an instant solution to a problem. Yet if you are unaware of what parts of your life you have chosen to create automatically, you might imagine yourself to be at the effect of life, rather than at cause in the matter. You could even see yourself as a victim. Therefore, it is important to be aware of what you have chosen to be unaware of. Later, toward the end of this dialogue, I will speak to you again of awareness, and the differing levels of awareness which produce the experience that some of you call enlightenment. Is there a way to set the same intentions on the conscious, superconscious, and subconscious levels at the same time? Yes. This 3-in-1 level of consciousness might be called superconsciousness. Some of you also call it Christ consciousness, or elevated consciousness. It is fully integrated consciousness. When you are in this place, you are fully creative. All three levels of consciousness have become one. You are said to have it all together. But it is really more than that, because in this, as in all things, the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Superconsciousness is not simply a mixture of the superconscious, the conscious, and the subconscious. It is what happens when all are mixed, and then transcended. You then move into pure beingness. This beingness is the ultimate source of creation within you. And so, for a person of elevated consciousness, outcomes and results are always intended and never unanticipated. Indeed, that is true. And the degree to which a result appears unanticipated is a direct indication of the level of consciousness at which an experience is being perceived. That is precisely correct. Therefore, the master is one who always agrees with results, even if they do not appear favorable, because he knows that at some level he must have intended them. You understand now. You are beginning to comprehend something that is very complex. And that is why the master sees everything as perfect. Wonderful. You've got it. What the master may not always see is the level at which the outcome was intended. Yet she has no doubt that at some level she is responsible for the result. Exactly. And that is why the master never sits in judgment of another person, place, or thing. The master knows that he put it there. He's aware that at some level he created what he is experiencing. Yes. And that if he doesn't like what he's created, it's up to him to change it. Yes. And that condemnation has no part in that process. Indeed, that which you condemn, you keep in place. This is also very deep, very complex. Your understanding of it is perfect. Just as it would be perfect if I did not understand it. Indeed. We are, all of us, exactly where it is perfect for us to be, all the time. Exactly, or you wouldn't be there. And we need nothing more for our evolution than exactly what we have, and are experiencing, right now. Once more, you are correct. And if we don't need anything, we don't have to trust God. That is what I have been saying, yes. And when we don't have to trust God, then we actually can. Because trust then means not having to have a particular result, but rather, knowing that whatever results is for our highest good. You have brought it full circle. Bravo! The beauty of this is that not needing a particular result frees the subconscious mind from all thoughts about why you can't have a particular result, which in turn opens the path to the particular result which was consciously intended. Yes. You are able to put more things on automatic. When you face a challenge, you automatically assume that things will go well. When you face some difficulty, you automatically know that it will be handled. When you encounter a problem, you automatically understand that it has already been solved for you, automatically. You have created these outcomes, subconsciously things start to happen automatically, seemingly without any effort on your part at all. Life starts working. Things start coming to you, rather than you having to chase after them. This change occurs without conscious effort. Just as negative, self-defeating, self-denying thoughts about who you really are, and what you can be, do, and have, were acquired subconsciously, so, too, are they released subconsciously. You don't know how or when you picked up such ideas, and you won't know how or when you drop them. Life will simply and suddenly change for you. The time between your thinking a thought consciously and it being made manifest in your reality will begin to shrink. Ultimately, it will disappear altogether, and you will create results instantly. And, actually, I am not creating results at all, but simply realizing they are already there. Everything has already been created, and I am experiencing the outcome I am able to choose, given my understandings and my perception. I see that you are now a messenger. You are one who brings a message, rather than one who seeks it. You are able now to articulate the entire cosmology. You have even worked into your last statement the truth about time. Yes. Time as we have understood it does not exist. There is only one moment, the eternal moment of now. All things that have ever happened, are happening, and ever will happen, are occurring right now. As you explained in Conversations with God, Book 3, it's like a giant CD-ROM. Every possible outcome has already been programmed. We experience the outcome we produce by the choices we make, like playing games with a computer. All of the computer's moves already exist. Which outcome you experience depends on which move you make. That is a very good example, because it allows for quick understanding. It has one drawback, however. Which is, it likens life to a game. It makes it sound as if all I'm doing is playing with you. Yes. I've received letters from people who were angry about that. They said that if what was said in Conversations with God about events in time were true, they were deeply disappointed. If, after all is said and done, we are all nothing more than pawns, being moved around on the chessboard of life by a God who does so for his own amusement. They were not very happy. Is that the kind of God you think I am? Because, if you do, that's what you'll see me as. Humans have been having their thoughts about God, and then seeing me as that, for thousands of years. This, then, is the greatest secret of all about God. I will appear to you as you see me. Wow. Yes, wow, indeed. God will seem to be what you seem to see. So how do you see me? I see you as a God who empowers me to create whatever experience I choose, and gives me the tools with which to do that. And one of the most powerful of those tools is your friendship with God. Trust me on this. I do. I trust you. Because I've learned that I don't have to. The process of life is what it is. Trust is not necessary, merely knowing. Exactly.